So today on the podcast, I am so excited that we're here with Elle Halliwell, who is an author, journalist, a health advocate, and the founder of Auricle Ear Seeds. Thank you for being here.
I'm so thrilled to be here. I'm such a fan of yours, and I know that's probably sounds a bit lame to say, but thank you.
Oh, don't be silly. I'm embarrassed now. Thank you for coming. I mean, oh my goodness, I feel like I could talk to you for hours and hours.
We kind of already have.
I know.
I know. I was like, we should have just been recording this even for the bloopers.
I know, totally. So, Elle, I mean, there's so many things I want to talk to you about, but firstly, I would just love to hear about your health journey because you've had a tough road and you're good now, but talk to us about what you've been through.
Yeah, it's quite a long story. I'll try and summarise it. So I was diagnosed with generalised anxiety disorder when I was in my early 20s, and I've always been that kind of anxious person, always had that fight or flight response. And so journalism probably wasn't the best kind of occupation to fall into. But I was working at the Sunday Telegraph. So I got a job there when I was a cadet. I was just very good at making coffees, doing the paper run. And about a year after I started working there, I was given the editor role of the fashion section.
Wow.
Which was, I kind of fell into that as well. Yeah. And all of a sudden, my life just went kind of crazy. So I was going to events, I was interviewing celebrities, and then I started doing the entertainment round. And I'd say probably towards my late 30s, I was doing a Sunday night radio show on Nova. I was doing weekend reports for celebrities and lifestyle on Channel 9. And then during the week, I had my day job at the telly.
So a lot of stress.
Yes, a lot of stress. And, when we think about priorities, work was just always up here. I missed birthdays, I missed weddings because I always had to be working. And health, way down here. Yeah. Social life, way down here. Self-care, they were all kind of just hidden away. And it wasn't until I just turned 30, riddled with stress and anxiety, wanted a family, been with my partner for almost 10 years, and I was like, okay, it's time. So I went and got a test for vitamin D and folate because I was like, apparently you need to know this kind of stuff before you start. And I got some different results. They were like, yeah, that's all fine, but you have high platelets. And the doctor at the time, my GP, was a good friend, and he's like, look, you're a bit of a hypochondriac. Why don't we just, rule anything sinister out? I'm sure it's fine. And then I think about 2 weeks later, new test came back, platelets were higher. Didn't seem right. And so I got given a referral to a haematologist.
Can I just ask, what are platelets?
Platelets are a part of your blood.
Okay.
So they help to kind of keep your blood thick, sticky.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have low platelets, sometimes that can be a sign of, a virus or something you're recovering with. Your immune system's just going a bit funky.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of a wait time between then and seeing the haematologist, and I remember running into the RPA, getting like 15 vials of blood taken, running straight back out to work. And they were like, look, we'll tell you in 3 weeks what the results are. And then 9 a.m. the next day they called me and they said, we need to see you for an appointment. So we booked you in first thing Monday. This was on a Thursday. And what's the first thing you think of? Oh, great, I'm dying. Excellent. And I have to wait till Monday to find out exactly what I'm dying of?
Yeah.
So I was in a lot of shock.
Yeah.
Managed to get a kind of chat with my GP who spoke to the haematologist, and that night found out that I'd been diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia, which is a rare form of blood cancer. I was like, oh my God, I'm 30.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen to someone who's 30. Just doesn't. Doesn't happen to me. People in my family have never had blood cancer. So I was in a little bit of denial, I think. And then 2 days later, I was kind of thinking, okay, so I've got this appointment with a haematologist on Monday. What's he going to ask me? I was like, he's probably going to ask me like if I've got children, if I'm planning to have children. I was like, well, I wanted to. And I thought, I'd done a pregnancy test about 2 weeks before because I was like, I hadn't been exactly careful.
Yeah.
And I bought a 2-pack. So I took the second test and I was effing pregnant.
Oh, my God.
I was like, wow. Okay.
So many emotions.
Was not expecting that one.
No.
So by the time kind of Monday rolled around, I was like, well, yeah, so I know what I've got, but here's a little kind of spoiler for you. I'm also pregnant.
Yeah.
And his response was kind of like, well, I would highly recommend that we get that problem out of the way.
Wow.
So because this illness was such a rare thing for someone 30 to get, it was usually like in men who are over 60.
Wow.
They didn't really have any precedent in terms of what to do in this situation. So I felt very alone. Like I could not find anyone who'd been in this same kind of predicament. Yeah. And so I was like, well, hang on. Like I'm not going to go on fertility treatment only and get rid of my child, like my baby, to go on fertility treatment. It just sounded weird. Like it just didn't sound right. I was like, look, if this baby is growing and has that kind of, I don't know, strength to stay in there and keep cooking, maybe I give it the benefit of the doubt. And I was only, I think, 4 weeks pregnant. Yeah. And so we went down to South Australia, got a second opinion, and, you know, the specialist there was like, yes, your doctor was right. Like this is risky. Yeah. Like, super risky. We don't know what's going to happen.
And risky because you couldn't then have the treatment for the cancer?
Correct. Yeah. So in the year 2000, a new drug came on the scene for people with CML. Before that, the life expectancy was about 3 to 5 years.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a very, very deadly illness. Yeah. But this new treatment had completely changed the outcomes for people with CML, but I couldn't take it when I was pregnant. So I was like, okay, so what do? Do I wait? Yeah. What can I do before that? So they said, look, it's kind of a bit of a wait and see. There was one drug that I could take, which wasn't, you know, really pleasant, you know, injecting myself once every few days. But they said we can try it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, well, let's give it a go. What else am I going to do? Yeah. So I did. And the whole experience really made me, it gave me a chance to stop and breathe, because I think that sometimes in our lives we don't. We're on that wheel and we're just constantly trying to catch our breath until we just kind of pass out. Yeah. You know?
It's true.
And I felt like the universe KO'd me at that point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's enormous. Like, there's not really much bigger than that, is there, to have all of those things happen in, a couple of days, learn all those things and make decisions, and it must have been absolutely terrifying.
It was. But it was also kind of a motivator to me, because I was like, okay, well, if nothing else is going to make me stop and look at how I need to change my life if I want to live, then having a baby and having the pressure of another human being relying on me to do that is kind of the perfect motivator, right? And so after that, I really just focused on looking after my health. So my health went from, you know, right at the bottom of the priority list right up to the top again. Work became something that I would do only if I had the capacity and on my own terms. And it was a really big shift. And I think that anyone who has that kind of A-type personality, it's something that they struggle with, because they're like, oh, but I want to do everything.
I'm that, hands up.
Yes,
that is me.
I know you are. I can spot you a mile away.
I try and hide it, but it's true. That is exactly the problem. And I think that, you know, being forced to relook at your entire life and put your health at the top is probably the best thing that can happen. You know, I'm not saying obviously it's a good thing that happened, but for all of us just to listen to this and go, we need to put our health number one, right?
100%. And when I say health, I don't just mean nutrition, because mental health, I think, is as important, if not more. Because what happened when I, you know, did get diagnosed is that pendulum of health went from like champagne at parties and, you know, hot chips on the way home and coffee during the day to I don't want to go out because I'm scared that they've cooked that with in the microwave with plastic and the BPA.
Yeah.
And I was really close to getting that kind of what's the word? Like it was starting to create a mental health problem for me because I was getting so stressed and anxious about the choices that I was making and going to someone's house and not knowing how they cooked the food that I realized, hang on, it's probably doing worse for my health than, eating those things occasionally and just kind of enjoying my life. And I thought, okay, just take a breather.
Yeah.
Think about what is going to be the best balance of looking after my health from a nutritional point of view, but then also giving myself a break because I was so hard on myself.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I don't think you're hard on yourself. I think that, I would have been exactly the same. Like, I think that you've gone through something, it's so frightening that, and I think that it's kind of like, are we sitting ducks? Because we're sitting here and we're breathing in, we're drinking the water that's potentially got what in it, we're eating the food that's processed and got chemicals added. The air, Sydney air is supposed to not even be clean anymore. It's really difficult, right? And I think that if you think about it too much, it stresses anybody out. And I think in with your situation where you were pregnant and then had this diagnosis, I can't even imagine how horrific that would have been. And I would have been the same. I'd have been locked me in a padded room and just give me filtered water and organic food because it's really scary. And I think that today as well, in this age we live in, there's always something to scare us, right? It's scary. I don't even tend to really look at Instagram because there's someone saying something scary. And it's like, oh my God, that's just freaks me out, what you can and can't do and all the dangers in life. But like you say, I believe what we should all do is empower ourselves with education and knowledge so we can make decisions, do as best as we can, but don't stress if you, have a blowout or do something. It's not the end of the world because that does have a more negative impact, I think, on your mental health, which is, can spiral out of control pretty quickly.
100%. You look at, some of the information out there, and I think being a journalist, it's really important for me to go, what's the reasoning behind this person saying this? Totally. Like, what's the agenda? Yeah. And then kind of figuring out exactly, whether that research there's that unconscious bias, whether, it is just kind of that marketing. So kind of just empowering yourself to know how to learn, how to find, the best nutritional advice that you can, speaking to someone one-on-one, getting that advice, I think is really, really important. But I also have come to this realization because this all happened in 2016 when I was diagnosed. Yeah. And so throughout that, I've gone through these ups and downs of like my health and trying to find that kind of balance. And I think what I've kind of realized is every single person is unique. So, something that someone says, and I think we're really lucky we've moved on from that thing, which I think was quite prevalent in like the 2010s that was, or even before that, where it was like, this is the diet that ends all diets for you. And everyone is going to benefit from this. Everyone is going to be able to do this. It's like, no, you take a bit from here, try this one, try a bit of that, and then see how your body reacts, what suits your lifestyle.
Exactly.
But also, like, we're so lucky because today we've got all of the knowledge from modern medicine. We've got all of the knowledge that have been built from like alternative, ancient traditions, things like that. And they're starting to come together. And I like to look at it not as a religion or, a political debate. It's not you're either one or the other. They all can merge together. And I reckon if we asked, Neanderthals 5,000 years ago if they'd, rather have like a completely organic, chemical-free lifestyle and stay, where they were, or have what we have today in terms of having the knowledge, but also having, those other kind of toxins and things like that in our life. Yeah. I kind of feel like they'd be like, no, give me the comfy sheets and the 1,400 count bed linen in the fridge any day of the week. And we are living longer than ever, but it's about living well, as we talked about before, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me through what happened, because obviously people listening who don't know your story are going to go, what happened? And so you obviously went through your pregnancy. You didn't take that cancer treatment, and you kind of you kind of so brave. But I think every mother would say 100%. I would do the same. You know, how was that pregnancy for you? And then how soon? Obviously, you had your little boy born tour, which was incredible, and he's 7 today.
He's 7.
He's 7. Talk to us about that journey and how soon from him being born did you then start cancer treatment? Like, talk to us about what happened.
Okay. I just want to go back though and just say as well that if I had already had a child, my decision may have been different.
Yeah, right.
And I think too that it is such a personal thing as well. And so for me, I made that decision based on so many different factors. And I also feel that there's not one right choice.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have any other children, I kind of thought, well, if things kind of go pear-shaped, it's on me and I'm not, going to feel that kind of guilt.
Yeah.
I had Tor a month early. My levels started to rise. It's a slow-growing cancer, so it takes sometimes between 2 and 3 years for it to go from like a kind of early stage to an acute stage. Yeah. And so my levels spiked and they were like, okay, we've got to get him out. And I was induced. He came out 3.1 kilos, no special care. God knows what size he would have been if he came out at 40 weeks. Oh my God. And so that was kind of lucky there. And then about 2, I begged and pleaded. I said, can I please just breastfeed for like a couple of weeks? I just wanted to give him that hit of nutrition. And so I literally spent the first like 2 or 3 weeks, I think, filling my fridge. I was so emotional. I would just be sitting there with the pump, like sobbing, going, oh my God, going through like the idea of starting a cancer treatment, having a newborn.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so I was just a cow for the first couple of weeks. Managed to kind of fill the freezer.
Yeah.
And then started on my cancer treatment, and that was terrifying. And the first, I think, couple of months were pretty hectic. Like there were a few, and that's the thing. I was also going through pregnancy or motherhood for the first time. So I didn't know what was like postpartum symptoms or whether it was the cancer symptoms. So my hair started falling out. I was like, oh, this sucks. I was getting, nausea. The fatigue was just brutal. But I think because I didn't have any other kind of precedent there, like I didn't know what motherhood was like, I just kind of defaulted to, it's just new motherhood. Yeah. And it just helped me to kind of feel a bit better and a bit more normal.
Yeah, wow.
So I ended up kind of, I guess, acclimatizing to that treatment and was really, really lucky that I think it did take a while. Yeah. But eventually I got to a point where my cancer was in a form of remission, which is called molecular remission.
Okay.
So I will still have the cancer-forming chromosome. So they 2 chromosomes break off and switch apart and join back together. But I'm happy to say, after a very rocky ride, still in molecular remission.
That's amazing.
Which is very exciting.
It's so exciting. Like, oh my goodness. Like, and I guess that because you're in the remission, but I guess you've always got that concern, right, about your health, right? So talk to us about what impact that is, how you take care of yourself now versus obviously pre all of this when it was just, health down the bottom. What are some of the choices that you make for yourself now, knowing what you know and what you've been through?
Yes. Okay. So I am still on my treatment. Yeah. So I have to take that twice a day. It's an oral form of chemo. And that's a reminder every day, but I don't look at it as a bad reminder. Yeah. I just go, oh my God, I'm alive. Yeah. How good's this? So when Tor was about, I think, a year and a bit old, I started studying naturopathy because I thought that the doctors, while they're amazing and, I have so much gratitude to them, the lack of nutrition support that I got and lifestyle support was woeful. And it made me really upset. And I thought, okay, well, I'm a journalist. Let me figure it out. So I started, researching how can I look after my health best. And also that of my child. So I started studying naturopathy, and that was about 4 years of study, and studied herbalism as well, because I was just looking for kind of ways that I could support my body. And I think that natural health is really great for preventative support and trying to prevent those lifestyle diseases from forming. And so if we can choose a natural option, great. Yeah. And then we've got the, modern medicine to be there, for the cures and to, those acute kind of issues. And so that's kind of how I came across Ear Seeds, because I was looking for something. I just didn't want to take any more tablets. Yeah. And I knew that, it is that thing where you'll take a tablet for something and that will cause something else, other issues, and then you'll have to take another tablet for that. And, after a while, there's a meal of just tablets, things to swallow. I know.
And also I think it's, a little bit of a bandage kind of thing where you can just imagine a dam and then you're just like patching things up all the time. Whereas if you can try and look at those fundamental things, which I think it's in all of our power to do that, which is lifestyle, food, stress, fitness, all of these things, it can make a huge impact, right?
Yeah. Oh, so much. And so now what I've kind of really found is a nice balance. Yeah. I know what works for me. Yeah. I have kind of gotten to the point where I'm quite an intuitive eater. Yeah. If I'm hungry, I'll eat. And rather than kind of just rushing and opening the fridge and kind of looking for the first thing that, appeals to me, I'll kind of just take a minute just to go, okay, well, what do I crave in terms of like my nutrition? I read this really interesting book called The Dorito Effect. Okay. And it kind of showed how, they did these studies on animals where the animals would have a certain illness and they would automatically go to, or I think there was sheep, and they'd automatically go to certain plants because they knew that it would help with their illness. And I kind of thought, oh my God, we've lost that ability, right? Yeah. And I'm not an expert about it. I'm like, oh my God, I could so just smash like a burger, even though I probably just, need some iron and, protein or something like that. But I like the idea. And so I do try and eat intuitively and I don't kind of deny myself, little pleasures as well, because nothing, in my opinion, is better for my mental health than going and having a small glass of rosé with a girlfriend in the sunshine on a Sunday afternoon.
I know, nothing beats that, right? No. As soon as the sun's out, it's like, oh gosh, where's the rosé?
Exactly. So I just really believe in balance and just that 80-20 rule of going, okay, if I can, crowd out the bad foods with just eating really good homemade, I love cooking and everything I make, I'll try and make from, just all natural ingredients. And then I feel like whatever I'm making, I can make those kind of comfort foods. Yeah, at least I know what's in them.
Oh, I know. That's the thing, isn't it? At least you're in control of what's going in your body versus buying something processed. It's actually a really good website from the UK. I don't know if you came across it in your research. It used to be called, I don't know if it still is, Cancer Active. And it's run by this Dr. Chris Wollums, and his daughter died of brain cancer. And he was a doctor, and he basically, when she died, I think it was something like 20 years old, so very young, he's dedicated his entire life to cancer research, and it's independent, so it's not aligned to any of the other cancers. And he's written so many great books. There's a great one called The Rainbow Diet, all based on nutrition and food. But it's fascinating, and I can't remember, I haven't looked at his stuff for years, but I think that he was saying that cancers, he believes, 25% attributed to lifestyle stress and cortisol and all that kind of stuff, and the pituitary gland, and it's fascinating to kind of hear about it, because I think in his studies, and not just his but a lot of people, that when they look back to thousands of years ago and digging up bones and things, cancer wasn't there. It was virtually non-existent, whereas today, obviously it's everywhere, right?
It's so true. I really do feel, and it's funny because I reckon if you said that same thing 15 years ago, you would be cancelled, because they just hadn't had that the studies and the research to back up that kind of mind-body connection. Yeah. And having had that chronic anxiety, I went to a naturopath once and I was like, my fingers are tingling and I can't feel the side of my face. Yeah. And she's like, well, it's because you're not exercising the adrenaline that's constantly building up in your body because you're just sitting at a desk all day. And that's actually one of the biggest changes that I've actually made in my life is walking. And I do about 15,000 steps a day.
That's a lot.
It is. And I love it.
Though, hey?
It has been the biggest game changer of my life for so many reasons. It gives me time to call my friends and family who I haven't been able to see, who might be overseas. Yeah. So I get that social kind of cup filled.
Yeah.
I've met people from the community because I do the Bondi Promenade every day, and I've made so many friends, just, people you see every day. Being outside in that sunshine in the early morning, going for a swim as well, and, doing that sand walk, just feeling the sand on my feet, and the mental health implications. I listened to one of your earlier podcasts while I was walking this morning. Oh, awesome. So it's that time where I'm not looking at distractions and I can kind of go, okay, what's the day got ahead? And if I've done this, the rest of the day can fall apart. And I've done my walk. I'm out in nature, seeing friends, and it really – I could write a book about it because I'm such an advocate for walking, and I'm not an exerciser. Hate exercise. Yeah. I know that sounds really bad.
No, it's not. I think a lot of people feel the same. My little boy woke up the other day and he said, because he's into his sport and he's into his fitness, and he said to me last week, I'm going to get up early and do some running. And he said to me the other day, how do you do it? So when you wake up in the morning and you're tired, you don't go, I don't want to do it. I was laughing at him and I'm, you and the rest of the world. And I said, it's firstly trying to find something that you don't hate.
Yes, that you love.
And love, because if you don't want to go and run on a treadmill, it's not, the most inspiring thing to do. But I think it is about doing something that you enjoy, and walking is a great way to do that. And I think I read something the other day about they did some brain scans on people who were sitting down and just sedentary, and then brain scan on someone who's just come back for a walk, and all these bits were lit up, and there was I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a part of the brain that's creative and thinking, because when you're out there you're seeing so many different and hearing as well, sights and sounds, that it basically lights up your brain.
Oh my God, all my best ideas happen when I'm walking. And I also find it's really good for having difficult conversations, because you're walking in parallel with someone, so it's not feeling as kind of intrusive. Yeah. So when I've got something to say to my husband, I'm like, should we go for a walk? And I always feel like I can address things that are a bit trickier when I'm with him. Yeah. And then also there have been a lot of studies that show that walking in nature and under trees produce phytoncides, which is like a chemical that they have actually found can kill our or create the number of killer cells, oh my God, what are they called? They are called killer cells, but I can't remember the exact name. But
Well, we get it. So it's basically walking into trees, do it.
Yes, they will actually improve not only your mood, but they have a physiological effect on your immune system. Wow, basically.
Isn't it unbelievable? And I think that because we were talking before, but because everyone's so busy in life, everyone's busy, and you think of how it used to be to what it is today. I feel that the load on everybody has gone up 100 times, and everyone's so busy that no one stops to hear this stuff and listen, because they're running from job to job and working and juggling. And it's when you just stop and listen, you're like, wow, life could be simpler, right? Yes. Go for a walk, plant some trees, eat well, don't eat processed. But just jumping back to food, what I would love to know as well, are there certain things that you now go, I don't eat that, I wouldn't eat that because it's not good for my body or for my health? Is there anything that you go, no?
I don't say that to myself. Mm-hmm. Because, to be honest, I think that life without the possibility of sharing a bag of Maltesers sounds really sad. But I think that it's that denying yourself certain things that makes you want it more. Yeah. And I also feel a sense of responsibility to show my son that eating intuitively and not kind of demonizing foods to the point that if he's at at a friend's house and they say, would you like an ice cream? He freaks out. So for me, I'm like, if you can eat, he eats with us every night. He has since he was, tiny.
Yeah.
So he eats what we eat. And so for me, I'm like, I want you to try everything.
Love it.
But I just want you to know that things that come from a plant are a lot better than things that are made from a plant.
Yeah.
Well, made in a plant,
Yeah.
sorry. And I love the Michael Pollan quote, which is eat food, mostly plants, not too much.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not about saying no to foods, but it's about saying yes to as many colourful, natural foods as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And then I really do feel like if your body is getting the satisfaction from getting all of that, the nutrients that it needs, the cravings for the bad foods aren't going to be as strong.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And I think that just referencing that Chris Woolhams, who's the doctor who studied it, and I've read lots of his stuff, I think that they, through the research, had found as well that back in, thousands of years ago when cancer they couldn't find it in any kind of archaeological dig-ups, that the diets of humans back then was around 30 to 40% legumes and plants, whereas today it's 3%.
Wow.
And he was saying, so basically eat as much plant-based food as possible. It's fine to have animal foods and meats and stuff like that, but you need to make sure we're eating as much plant-based food as possible. And I think that that's, without a doubt, it's fallen away, right? Because, you think of fast food, it's all meat, and processed meat as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you 100%. I don't believe in demonizing food because I think it makes us want it more. And I think that with kids, as we were talking before, you really want your kids to have knowledge as well so they can make choices when you're not there. Because when they grow up, I remember this is, my mum was a herbalist and she was very, she was, she's still here, but she was a herbalist when she was a lot younger. And so when I grew up and we weren't allowed chocolate and we weren't allowed any kind of sweets, and it was a no-no, because she was like, it's not healthy, it's not good. And then when I was at school, in primary school, and I remember it, we had like a little corner shop around from the school, and that was so long ago that you used to get those like little jelly teddies, and they were like half a p, so like half a penny per one. And I used to go in with like 20p and go, I want those sugars. And I used to just like devour them, but I would never tell my mum.
Yeah.
And it definitely, I would go and do it anyway, but it was because she wasn't there. It was like, I'm going to take the full opportunity to eat as much sugar and chocolate as humanly possible.
Yeah, it's so true. I guess it's also like how in Australia, like we have, we used to, it's changing, but like that alcohol culture, we're known as like the big drinkers.
Yes.
Whereas you go to Italy, you got kids that are 10 having a couple of sips of red wine at night, and it's just not a big deal.
Yeah.
So when we kind of make something a big deal, it's almost like the devil on the shoulders, like, do it. You want it.
100%.
That's all you want.
Yeah, it's the mind, isn't it? It's so important. And we were chatting to one of our nutritionists a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying that the gut and the mind, when the body is created in the womb, are created at the same time. So that the what you feel in your gut and your mind is so work hand in hand, which is why kind of health and nutrition for gut health is so important, because the mind, if your gut health is unhealthy, it can lead to depression, it can lead to your mind not feeling good and mental health issues. And I think it's just fascinating when we learn more about how the body was created, what we need for the body. And it certainly makes me a lot more mindful about the choices I make. I'm the same as you. I don't demonize food, but I'm very conscious, like, for example, on gut health. So I'll always go, right, I'm going to have pineapple, I'm going to have fennel. I love ginger and turmeric. I have that every day because I know that that's doing good for my health. It doesn't mean I don't have a glass of wine, or it doesn't mean I don't eat certain things, but it just means that I know I'm making positive steps every day to kind of help my body function well.
Yes, and you're right. The more you're eating poorly, your gut's creating, reducing all of those feel-good chemicals, the dopamine and, those endorphins. And then you're like, oh, I'm feeling really low. I think I might just have a little bag of, kilo bag of lollies. And then that, perpetuates. It's such a cycle. So if you can kind of, I guess, get into that thing where you're nourishing your body, it's going to make you feel good.
Yeah.
And so you're going to want to choose those good foods, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But, I think that one of the things I've learned over the years of, doing what I've done for a long time is that humans we need to, it's easy for us to go off track.
Yeah.
Right? It's really easy. We can sit here today and listen to this and go, 100%, I'm so doing that. But then after a week, we fall off track. So, and I think there's nothing wrong with admitting that and owning that and going, I need help to come back on track. And whether that's surrounding yourself with people who can help you, whether it's being communities that can help you get back on track. Like, I'm not perfect. Like, I can, if anyone's listening to this and thinking, God, she must be perfect. No, 100% not. Like, I do silly stuff and eat things I shouldn't or don't exercise as much as I should. But it's all about correcting course, right? And being surrounded by people and like-minded people and communities that can help you stay on track.
Yeah, just creating those small habits. They build up to the point where it feels weird not doing it.
Yeah.
If you get up and you have a certain kind of meal that's really nourishing, you do that long enough, then you wake up and you choose kind of something that's maybe not, and you're like, something feels off.
Yeah.
So implementing those small habits slowly is such a big difference. And I also think that it's really important to figure out your body. So going and getting all of your tests,
100%.
figuring out, if there is an intolerance or if there's something that you shouldn't really be eating for you, that's going to help as well, because you go, oh, that's maybe why I feel bad whenever I eat this food.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I'm a big believer in, at least, once a year going to get all your bloods done to go and find if there's anything amiss.
Absolutely, because your optimal range is different from everyone else, and the normal range is sometimes not actually optimal.
Yeah.
So finding out exactly what is optimal for you and getting that checked based on your previous rather than what the general population is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do it every 6 months, get a full blood test.
Yeah,
100%.
Now, talk to me about the ear seeds, because I'm fascinated by it. So it's based on the premise of acupuncture, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of more like reflexology.
Yeah.
So if we think about the ear as kind of a microcosm of the body, and what we're learning now is the ear is massaging the ear and stimulating the nerves in the ear is one of the fastest ways to tap into your vagus nerve.
Yeah, right.
So the vagus nerve is one of the 12 cranial nerves, and it is kind of in charge of regulating your parasympathetic nervous system.
Okay.
When we're in fight or flight, so anxious, stressed, which we all are a lot, we're in fight or flight mode. And back in the day, if something was chasing you, you'd run away, you'd get in, your adrenals would start pumping and you're like, okay, you'd run away and you'd either burn or fight or flight that energy out. So the adrenals would kind of go back to a rest and digest state, which is what we're supposed to be in normally. That's our parasympathetic state. So that helps us to digest our food, to sleep well, and also to, reproduce. It tells the body this is safe. Like we're in good conditions for you to repair the cells and things like that. So vagal nerve stimulation and toning is really something we have to do almost, regularly now, because we're not able just to kind of regulate our nervous systems. Yeah. And so that's why I found ear seeds so great, because they're literally just stimulating the nerves in your ear. And we have so many nerves in our ear. There's, I think, 25,000.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
really?
that's including the inner ear as well. So when we're kind of playing with our ear, as I said, like before we started chatting, that a lot of kids or people will find that playing with their ear actually relaxes them quite a lot.
And is that your earlobe or anywhere on your ear?
Just your ear, like the whole ear. So there's so many different techniques that you can do, like even just kind of rubbing your ear like this, or kind of humming and putting your hands to your ear can really massage that nerve and tell your body, oh, there's nothing to be afraid of. You're safe. You can chill. You can go to sleep. And so that's why I love these seeds, because you can just put them on at home. They're stickers, and you just pop them on and you just press them. Yeah. And that's going to stimulate the nerves to put you in a really calm state.
Amazing. And how long do they stay on for?
You can keep them on for up to 4 to 5 days, and you can swim and wash your hair with them. And
they look pretty, right? Oh, look at them. They're beautiful.
So I'm wearing the crystal and gold ones.
Oh,
and
nice.
I just love them, like for headaches and things like that, migraines. Because I don't know if you've ever done it, but if you press kind of the antitragus area, which is just at the top of your lobe, when you've got a headache, it's the same as that kind of acupressure point here, and it almost instantly just removes that acute feeling of pain. Wow. And being a skeptic,
Yeah.
being a journalist, I've always been quite skeptical, and I was like, I don't know if this is just something that's working for me.
Yeah.
And it's quite amazing, you know, not only from customers, but also just the older people in my life who are very much into the conventional medicine.
Yeah.
You know, having them kind of say whenever I see them, oh, would you mind just putting some seeds on? I've got a bit of shoulder pain. Wow. I almost, you know, at the start I was like, are you just trying to kind of
nice.
humour me? Yeah. But it really is fascinating, and the more and more that I was researching it, the more I realised that there is actually kind of a scientific reason based on neurology as to why this works. And it's actually something that was created, or the ear was mapped in the 50s by a French neurologist, because acupuncture, Chinese traditional acupuncture, was not actually covering the ear. So it used to be, all the meridians were the body but not the ear. Wow. And so since he created this acupuncture kind of system, they've also adopted it. So now it's a blend of Western and Eastern therapies.
Well,
so
I'm
it's
so
really
trying it. I'm so trying
we're going to do it after this.
I'm so excited. I love it. And I love how they're like decorative. I think that's just beautiful. I think it's just so nice. I love all this kind of stuff. I'm always looking for ways, easy ways, I must say, to improve health, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not here forever. And it's like when we are here, we want to live as good as life as we possibly can. And I think that, you know, things like this, I think they're amazing. So well done you for kind of, you know, creating this awesome business, because it's fantastic.
And well done you. I'm so pumped about Zing. It's amazing. And as I said, I'm a big fan. I've been following your trajectory over the last decade, and I'm just so excited I swear every time your name comes up, I'm like, oh my God, she's done something amazing again. So well done.
Well, thank you. I love it. I just love this space. I love health, and I love doing stuff. I'm not a sit down, just not doing something person. Like, you know, you could call it a disorder, but I just have to do stuff all the time. And I think that if you can do stuff that's going to help other people, as well as, you know, helping yourself learn, I think that's great. So I'm passionate about it, and I love it. And I'm just so happy that we've got to talk to you today, because your story is just incredible, so inspirational. So real. You're amazing, and I'm just so happy we could chat. And I know everyone who's going to be listening is going to be thinking you're amazing too. I'm like Googling you and seeing who is this crazy amazing person. So thank you, and thank you for talking to us about your ear seeds too. I can't wait to have a go.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and thanks for creating such a beautiful platform.
Thank you so much.